trends, or what's the new technology or awareness that's going into the field of environment and climate change. So for today's session, we are majorly focusing on ESG and BSR. And the expert that we have on board is Nitin Mishra ji. So he'll be giving you a brief introduction about ESG, the background of BRSR, and what are the current industry trends that are going on. So over to you, Nitin ji.
Thank you, Sakib, for setting the tone. So actually, I made this group for creating the awareness. Actually, all people are working in ESG and sustainability, but lots of the junior he don't know about the ESG, and he have the lack of the expertise. He don't have a right mentor who give the knowledge. Ki how can you start working in ESG? What are the frameworks? So the main intent of the creating this group to exchange your knowledge, to exchange your best practices. We have lots of the mentor in that group who are working and who have a very big experience. Some are sustainability director, some are the founder of the sustainability company who are working in sustainability and other aspects. So the main intent of the create to exchange your thought, and we can take the advantage of experienced people. So by qualification, I am an environmental guy. So when I joined my engineering that time, I think the mentorship is missing in all around. The people is don't know how to create your career in sustainability and how can you perform in a sustainability department. So that's why we are created this platform, and in every week we are trying ki some expert person will come and share his knowledge with the needed person. So it's also his own CSR company are doing lots of the CSR, but as a responsible person is our responsibility to share your knowledge with other person who needed the knowledge and other thing. So welcome you all. Amisa sir, you want to add something and give your opening remark, because you had work in sustainability from last so many years, you have a vast experience. So if you give some opening remark, it's very helpful for all of us.
Thanks, Nitin. Thanks, Shakib. It's a very good platform. I think the speed at which number of people joined this platform of yours only demonstrates the interest in people to know about sustainability. And these days it is not only fashionable to know about sustainability, but it also is becoming a serious business from companies' point of view. And companies' directions are now no longer just climate change, which was a buzzword earlier, but nobody knew. Now climate change is a serious pathway for companies to be relevant in the mind of consumer, that this company cares that whether it is Google being 2030 they are taking their neutrality target, or Facebook or Meta or anyone else. So there are several companies which are going ahead in their aggressive plans to become neutral, and their science-based targets, and IPCC has defined very clearly that human being is the cause of climate change. There is no doubt about that anymore. 10 years ago, there was doubt. And the climate effect, in turn, resulting into storms or unpredictable weathers or calamities, is also becoming very, very straightforward. It is no like confusion now, more clarity that it is climate change which is affecting and causing natural disasters. So with that, whether it is Europe taking a climate neutrality target for the continent as 2050, or India taking a target as 2070, which I am hopeful that will get further accelerated to maybe 2050, 2060. The climate, the sustainability guys are becoming a very big focus now, and it's become a serious job role also.
Correct.
So knowing about sustainability was earlier considered to be just additional points to talk about in interviews or in forums. Now it is serious career direction. every company is looking for a sustainability guy. I know people who worked with me and worked alongside. Most of them are chief sustainability officers of the top 100 companies in the country right now. So, and I'm myself, making profit out of sustainability.
Correct.
I'm making business out of sustainability. So it's a serious business, and I think most of your participants, therefore, are seriously wanting to get knowledge, get
Correct.
insights, build network, help each other, and finally also help the world. So from that standpoint, I feel it's a very good opportunity that you have created, and I wish you all the very best.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. So actually, it's a not profitable platform. I'm not representing any company, and I don't want if anyone post his company government. So this is a professional network. I representing as an environmental engineer. If you have a, so the main content of this group. So Amit sir, like I taking an example. So Amit sir is coming. He is coming as a experienced person. He's not representing any company. So in next week we are inviting the people who have experience in sustainability. So the main content is provide the education to all people for the climate, and we can share our knowledge. So today, as per group demand, I had created some slide for the ESG and BRSR. So I'm trying to share my knowledge. Hope it will helpful for all of us. So thank you for your time and thank you for joining the group. So I'm sharing my screen. Hope my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes,
Sakib, it's
Nitin.
visual.
Yeah, yeah, the screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
So actually, the main intent, many people have the lots of the doubt. What is the ESG? So basically, in the ESG, cover the three aspects. Like one is the environment, second is the social, and third is the governance. So at environment point of view, the emission mapping, the climate change, the decarbonization, water stewardship, biodiversity, green transportation, and so all the things related to the environment we are reporting in the environmental section. Same at social, we are talking about the people. So like employee welfare, talent attrition rate, diversity, health and safety policy, community engagement, customer relations, CSR spend. So all these aspects are comes under the social. And the governance is talk about the about your board structure, your policy and procedure, your risk and opportunity, your compliances, your code of business ethics. So all the environmental like water, emission, energy, all things we are reported at the environmental section. Like employee welfare things we are taking in the social aspect, and in governance this is the board structure and the policy and other thing. So I think the meaning of the ESG will be clear to all of you. So these are the aspect of the E, S, and G. So actually, many people are thinking ki ESG is involve only the factory. So it's not true. ESG cover the entire value chain. Your supplier, your warehouses, your office, your dealer and distributor, your end consumer. All people are covering in the ESG boundary. So actually, many people have confusion ki how to set the ESG boundary. So when we are writing any sustainability report, the sustainability boundary is very important. So we had decided the sustainability boundary on the basis of financially control and operation control. Like how many things you have control in your operation control. Like factory, you have the own operation control. Warehouses, you have the own operation control. Maybe some warehouses you have the financial control. So on the basis of your operation control and financial control, we had set the boundary. So all the supplier, all of things, they are covered under your ESG boundary. Mainly company are only taking the factory because at supplier end they don't have the data, they don't know what is their carbon footprint and other thing. So, but right now when we're talking about the scope 3, so all the entire value chain will be covered at the sustainability boundary. And many people have the confusion have between the ESG and sustainability. So actually, sustainability is a broad term, and ESG is a prescribed framework which released by BRSR, like CDP, DGSI, MSCI, and other things. So these are the ESG framework, and sustainability is a broader term which create the appropriate balance. And ESG is accessing non-financial performance only. So mainly the practices have a lower impact on the society and the environment. This is the sustainability and implementing initiative designed for the meet a specific goal. Like in ESG, we have taken the environmental, social, and governance. So ESG is a framework, and sustainability is a whole detail which talk about the climate change and the other thing and future society. And mainly in ESG, people are talking about like scope one, scope two, scope three. So many people have the confusion ki what is the scope 3, what is the scope 1, and what is the scope 2. So actually all the direct emission, like direct GHG emission from the source, like you have used the fuel at your boilers, you are using fuel at your DZ company or vehicle. So all the operation control जो company के direct control में it comes under scope 1. You are taking the electricity from the grid. So these are the indirect GHG emission. It's count under scope 2, and scope 3 is talking about the entire value chain. Your upstream activity, your downstream activity, like your transportation, your upstream transportation, your downstream transportation, use of sold product, uh, like your waste treatment, your leach acid. So you can see at your slide the upstream and downstream is very clear. So these are the category which we are counting in scope 3. Scope 1 is the direct emission, we are controlled by your own control. जो आपके directly control में है वो count scope 1. Scope 2 is from the grid electricity, and scope 3 is talking about the entire value chain. So I think the scope 1, 2, 3 confusion will be clear, and on the basis of this accounting, we are taking the GHG emission and other things. And next slide. So mainly scope 1 comes under like company owned buses, your offices furnace, your boiler, your fuel uses for the cars, diesels, gas refills for the AC. So these are comes under scope 2. Scope 1, electricity bill, your purchase from the offices, for warehouses, for your own factories, all the emission counting in scope 2. And scope 3, these activity. Next slide. And so why should we work on the ESG? So ESG have a different perspective with different benefit when you are working for any sustainability framework. So it's also attract your consumer. If your company is doing such much in sustainability and ESG, it should attract your consumer. Maybe in upcoming years, the consumer will demand ki what is your carbon footprint of your product. So the customer interest will be also from the sustainability. The investor is also talking about your environmental performance, your ESG performance. So one benefit is the top line growth. Second benefit is the cost reduction. Like if you are working energy saving, if you are working for the water consumption, then the cost will be reduced and it will also help to the company. Third is the regulatory and legal framework. As you know, in India, the BRSR is mandatory for the 1000 companies. So it's also comes under regulatory and legal framework. Fourth is the investor and customer piece, loss of the investor, talk to the company and disclose your performance in CDP and other thing. And loss of the consumer, customer is also, if you are working for any company, the company is also talking to you what is your sustainability footprint. So from the investor and customer push, we should do it for the working for the ESG. And four is the reputation. If you are a reputed firm, then you should disclose your sustainability information. So these are the 5 points why the company should work for the sustainability. So these are the area and force which have company had started in sustainability journey. Next slide. And these are the some survey of McKinsey. So they are saying ki if company is working for the sustainability, the product related claims accounted to 56% all growth. The ESG, due to ESG, their sales growing 2x. So this is the McKinsey survey which saying ki if the company is working on the sustainability, their sales is also great growth. Next slide. So at past, mainly the ESG risk is only basis on the client on the financial basis. But if we're talking currently, mainly the ESG risk is related to like extreme weather event, climate action, environmental damage. So at past is at 90 and starting of 20th century, the risk will be divided on the cyber attack, the risk on the digital power connection, the risk on the threats and other things. But right now, the main risk is the climate risk. So that's why we should work for the sustainability. Next slide. So I'm taking some example why the sustainability performance is very good. As you know, ki last time Adani Enterprises removed from the DGSI because their governance structure and policy is not clear. So that's why the Adani is removed by the S&P. Same as Tesla. So at Tesla, the working policy is not good. That's why the Tesla is also removed by the framework. And that time, the share prices of Tesla had suddenly dropped down. So the sustainability performance also affect your company reputation and your share prices and other things. Next slide. So like I'm giving an example like how the climate risk is affect your company. So I'm giving an example like I'm taking an example of Alwar. So at Alwar, the total rechargeable water amount is 68795, and right now currently, so I'm taking this data from the Indian Ministry of Water Resource website. So currently only 129,547 they are extracting from the ground, and their yearly annual water recharging capacity is 61915. So right now at Alwar, they are extracting the 2009% of water. Like they are exceeding the limit. If you are putting the 100 liter to the ground and you are extracting 2,000 liter, this is also at risk. So I'm taking an example of different news like in every year 3 meter water table is dropped down at the Alwar. So like it's the impact of the climate change. And if any company at Alwar location they have a process water and their process is dependent on the water, so ESG is linked with the business. Like if the water is not available at the region, how can company perform? So these type of risk is also analyzed by the company. If you are working in any location, so the climate risk, the water risk is also effect on the company performance. Maybe after 10 years the water is not available at that location, how can the company sustain their product? So the climate risk assessment is very important. So a lot of the companies also assessing the ESG risk. At past they are taking the risk and opportunity from the cost benefit and the other side, but right now the climate risk is very important. Next slide. So this is the global trend, like how the temperature is increasing day by day, and if we don't working for the climate change, so if the temperature is 1.5 degree increasing, this will affect a world effect on the climate change. So at Paris Agreement, lots of the country had decided they should work for the net zero and taking a place. We should working on the limiting the global temperature to 1.5 degree. Next slide. So I'm taking an example of the Paris Agreement. So you can also see the Paris Agreement. Mostly company India is also taking a target of 2070. The India will be the net zero. So why the word the net zero is very important? Because when the pre-industrialization baseline is coming, that time the global temperature is suddenly increased. And if we should not working for the environment, the temperature will be increased more than 2 degree and 2.5 degree. This will affect on the lots of the climatic change at the world. So that's why the importance of the climate change and the sustainability is very important. Next slide. So I'm taking an example like if the temperature is 1.5 degree increases, the earth will be seeing at this color. If the 2 degree temperature will be increasing, the earth color will be changed. At the 3 degree, the earth will go to the red color. So same, I'm taking some example like if the 1.5 degree temperature increases, how much effect on the heat, how much effect on the ice, how much effect on the sea level. The sea level temperature will increase to 0.40 meter, and the 2 degrees if temperature increases, the 0.46 meter sea level will be increases. So if the sea level will be increases, all the low line city like in Chennai, in Mauritius, they will destroy and they will go deep into the sea. Next slide. So this is a slide how the company is working for the sustainability. Like some company is taking plan, they will be net zero by 2090. So net zero means they will reduce their emission and they will not impact on the environment. So they target they are taking a target from according to the baseline. Some target will be scientific approved by the SBTi. Company a target, some company taking a target of they will reduce their scope 1 2 emission. Some company taking they will working from the 100% renewable energy. They will working on the eco efficiency. Same at value chain, company taking target from the supplier end. Our all supplier will be accounting their GHG accounting. From the brand and product perspective, also the company are taking an example. They will start the sharing of their carbon footprint, and they are working on the recycle content. So these are the some example how the world is heading and working for the sustainability. Next slide. So, I'm taking example how the company taking the like Wipro is committing to contribute to the planetary net zero. So I'm taking example like Snyder is taking some example, Wipro is taking some example. So this is the simple example slide. Next slide. So why the world is eating? So you should need to work on the sustainable value chain, circular economy, on you should work on the life cycle assessment. So sustainability is only not talking on the emission side, is only work talk about the improve the sustainable value chain. You should provide the information to your value chain partner. So right now the main issue is the supply chain. You can easily work out at your own operation, but your supplier don't know what is the environment and other thing. So if you are working in a company, you should need to train your supplier, and they will working on it, because the entire scope 3 is covered by the your value chain. So if your supplier will working on the sustainability, then you should go achieve the scope 3. Without your supply engagement and your entire value chain, you cannot achieve the. So the importance of supply chain is very important, and these are the some framework like TCFD, like BRSR, like GRI. These are the some global framework which company are working from the for the sale of sustainability information. Next slide. So at India contains the BRSR framework is mandatory for companies. So the journey of the reporting has started at 2009, when the MCA has issued some voluntary guideline on the corporate social responsibility. So that time the sixth principle is covered by the CSR policy. So in India, firstly the CSR is started. After that, at 2011, they will issue some national voluntary guideline for social, environmental, and economic. So at past, they are working on the social, environment, and economy. And 2012, SEBI mandated the business responsibility reported. So if you see at any company reporting structure, firstly they will releasing there the BRR report. After the BRR report, they had started their BRSR report. At past, some people are releasing their integrated report and other thing. So this is the some journey of the corporate responsible reporting, how the company at 2009, 2011, 2012, the journey will be started at India. Next slide. And 2015, SEBI has mandated uh, business responsibility reporting to 5,000 listed company at 2050 60. So BRR is only the business responsibility reporting. So 2019, SEBI has started working from the for the BRR, and they had converted BRR to BRSR. So 2019 they had published some gadget, and 2021 at 10 May 2021 SEBI had circulated had guideline for the BRSR reporting and the guidance load, and that time to 1000 listed companies mandatory for the BRSR reporting. So that time the BRSR, when the BRSR reporting is coming at the industry point of view, they had started the two indicator. One is the voluntary indicator, second is the leadership indicator. So that time, some companies publish their performance in some leadership. Mainly, company is providing their performance in voluntary indicator. Next slide. So many people have the very confusion ki what is the BRSR framework. So BRSR framework is very easy. If you compare to other framework like DGSI and CDP, so BRSR is totally easy. If you clearly read out point by point, no, nothing is available at BRSR. If you are working in a company and you have a good reading skill, you can read out the framework. The framework is also available at public domain. So So you can easily download. So they have the three sections: section A, section B, and section C. So section A is generally talk about the general disclosure, like your company product, your company location, your employee, like company receive any overview entity. So all the company related general information is we can publish at section A. Section B, we are publish the things related to the management and process, like company is following the NGBRC principle, how the leadership and stakeholder management is available. Company website, the things is available at Note. So all the management and process we had covered at section B. Section C is talking about the principle wise performance. So we have the NGBRC principle which have wanted the qualitative and quantitative information. So at that principle wise performance, two type of categories available. One is the essentially, second is the leadership. So at past, the essential is only mandatory, leadership is non-mandatory. But right now the BRSR core is coming, so the leadership indicator will be mandatory, and the assurance for the BRSR core is mandatory from the some company. So right now that assurance is not mandatory. Some people are performing their assurance, some people are not. So the new framework is also coming, BRSR core. Next slide. So at BRSR framework, mainly from the environmental point of view, the principle 2 and principle 6, they are talking about the environmental part. Principle 3, principle 5, and principle 8, they are talking about the social aspect, and principle 1, 4, 7, 9, they are the talking about the environmental governance point of view. So we have the 9 principles. So each principle have some question for quantitative and qualitative. So mainly principle 2 and 6, they are related to the environment. So the BRSR is integrated by the ESG. Some question is related to the environment, some question will be related to your social, some company, some question related to your governance. So mainly people have confusion and they are working on the sustainability. How can we get the data from the company? So like from the principle 2 and 6, you can connect with your EHS team, you can connect with your sustainability team, you connect with your environmental team. From the social aspect, the HR team will guide you and take the data. From the governance point of view, you can take the data from the company secretary and the investor point of view at that time. Next slide. So how the BRSR principle is integrated with the SDG linkage? As you know, some global SDG linkage is available. So like principle 3, 4, 8, they are talking about the SDG 1, no poverty. So this is the linkage between the SDG and the BRSR principle. I will share you after this session. I will share some slide with you. You can read out the things. Next slide. So mainly the principle 1. At principle 1 is the business should conduct and govern themselves with integrity. So this is the principle 1 meaning. At principle 1, these are some questions which comes under the essential indicator. Some question like in leadership indicator, like in essential indicator, they are talking about the details of training, detail of fine, detail of the labeling for the anti-bribery, detail of complaint. So all the things is already available to your company. You can read out the question. So these are the some simple questions which asking in principle 1. Same from the leadership indicator. Uh, they are asking about the how much awareness program you are conducted for the value chain partner, your policy and manage how do you manage the conflict of interest. So at essential, they are asking the basic question, and the leadership indicator, they are talking how can you improving at the principal meaning. So these are the difference between the essential and leadership indicator. So at principle 1, this question is related to essential and this question is related to the leadership. And next slide. So at principle 2, principle 2 is saying that business should provide goods and service in a manner that is sustainable and safe. So this principle meaning company should working for the sustainability and their services will not impact the environment or other thing. So at essential indicator, they are talking about the key detail to improve how you are improving the social and environmental impact of product and process. Like if you manufacture any product, so this product will be impacted on the social and environmental impact or not. Watch which activity you are doing for the sustainable sourcing, how you are ensuring the safety of your product, how you are performing your waste collection. So these are the essential indicator. And leadership, they are talking on the some leadership point of view, like you are conducting LCA or not. Please provide the recycle content material. Please provide the your ESG risk. So at principle 2, they are talking about these questions. Next slide. So at principle 3, business should respect and promote a well-being. So this principle is talking about the how can you improve the social aspect at your company and your value chain, like how you are measuring your employee well-being, your employee worker well-being, your worker is happy or not. So this question is related to your value chain. So mainly people are at the starting of the slide I had said ki sustainability is not only dependent on your company. It's only talk about your entire value chain. So when you are preparing any BRSR report, you should provide the information not only covering your employee. Like I see many company BRSR report, like they are asking if you are providing any well-being of employee and worker. So mainly the company is writing only from the company point of view. They are not talking from the supply chain point of view. So you can do one thing. You can make some ESG clauses at your supplier contractor and your supplier agreement. They should start working from the social aspect. Your supplier should provide the all the trainings, all the timely wages to their employee. So it's your responsibility to take the accountability of your supplier. Next slide. So same, the principle 4 is talking about the how the business should respect and interest and responsive to stakeholders. And this is related to the stakeholder engagement. Uh, Principle 4 is mainly talk about the stakeholder engagement. So stakeholder will be any person who related to your business, your contractor, your supplier, your community. So all these are the stakeholder. So the question is very important. Mainly people when the question is asking about the stakeholder, mostly company provided information only from their vendor and other side. So you should first note down who is your stakeholder. Like your community is also your stakeholder. So you can provide the answer on the basis of your stakeholder management. So firstly, you can set your boundary key, who is your stakeholder, and provide the all information. What are you doing for the community? What are you doing for the supplier? What are you doing for the other aspect, your supplier, your vendor? So the good BRSR report will be covered when you are covering all aspects. And next slide. So same principle 5 is talking about the human right, like how you respect and promote. How should you respect and promote the human right? So same, the human right assessment and human right is not only limiting on your own employee. They are talking about the human right of your supplier employee, human right of your vendor, human right of your community. Like if any person, any supplier is not performing the human right, if your supplier is not uh, providing the rights of their worker, they are the child labor is also working at their company, they are not providing the medical assistance. So this is also a reputational risk for your company. Like if the business, if company A XYZ will be blocked by the regulatory department, the message will be coming to your company supplier, maybe it's will affect on your reputation. So you should make a guideline at your supplier contract. Your supplier should also provide the wages and other things, like detail of employee, how much worker you are coming. So these are the some indicator and parameters which divided in principle 5. Next slide. Sakib, next slide. Yes. So principle 6 basically talk about the business should respect and make effort to protect and restore the environment. So at that principle, your total energy consumption, your water, your emissions, so all these data will be coming at principle 6. So this is so some technical point of view. Principle 6 is more technical. You can account, you can calculate your scope 1 2, you can calculate your energy intensity, you can take the water intensity. So from the intensity point of view, you can take revenue, you can take the metric ton of consumption, and the other thing is depend your company ideology. So the principle So same the principle 6 data is depend on your reporting boundary. If you are taking only your plant, that you should provide the information of only your plant location. If you are taking the sustainability reporting to your office and warehouse, so at the time of reporting, you should take the data from your office and warehouse also, like how many energy consumption in your entire scoping boundary. So the ESG boundary setting is very important. On the basis of your reporting boundary, you would provide the data. Next slide. So principle 7 is talking about your regulatory policy, like you are participating in any trade and lobby, how your company is advocating and talking about the environmental policy and other things, like your company is participating any federation, any rules and regulation body, like how many trade union are associated with you, like how many corrective action you have taken on the basis of regulatory authority, details of public position advice, like sub company have working on the climate change, or working on the carbon credit advisory committee. So all the things which are related to your company, how your company is talking about the sustainability point of view. So all this detail will be comes under the principle 7. Next slide. And principle 8 is saying that businesses should promote inclusive growth and adequate development. Like if you are working, if you are manufacturing any product, how this your work will be affecting on the community. So what are you doing for the social impact assessment? Like I'm taking an example, if you are steel manufacturing, so how your manufacturing will affect on the society? Have you done any assessment? Your product is impacting any society, any wildlife? So have you done so? All the social impact assessment, all the project re-evaluation details you have provided at essential indicator. At leadership, you provide the must detail, like you have done any social audit of your account, what your CSR spend, how many people you are taking from the MSME sector and other things. So these things will be covered at principle 8. Next slide. So this is the last principle. So principle 9 is talking businesses should engage and provide value to the consumer in a responsible manner. So basically principle 9 is talking about the customer satisfaction. How your company is making a mechanism to take the feedback from the consumer complaint and feedback. So mostly company that provided the consumer complaint zero, and sub company providing company consumer complaint much high. So first you should maintain a mechanism to track all the your company query on complaint and feedback. You should publish your complaint at BRSR reporting, like how many turnover you have, like if you are, if you have the 12 products, so how many product is related to the social parameter, how you are taking any social aspect, like your product safety in social aspect, yeah, like your water footprint, it's come under the environmental point of view. So all the things related to the product and customer satisfaction, this comes under the principal line. So all when you read out the question deeply wise, then you should provide all the information. Next slide. So these are some basic. I have provided some key at section A. What is the quantitative disclosure? What is the quantitative? Some question are asking some data points. Some question are asking some brief amount. So the mainly disclosure at the divided in qualitative and quantitative. So I provided the information like at section A. What is quantitative question? What is qualitative question? Next slide. Same at principle wise, this is the information, like what is the quantitative data at principle 1, at principle 2, principle 3 and principle 4. Quantitative data, they had wanted to asking the number, like how many people you should provide the information, like I have the 1000 people and other things. So quantitative data is the number question. Next slide. Next. So same, this is the quantitative data. As past slide, we are talking about the qualitative. This is the quantitative question, like unit wise detail of air and liquid emission, and these are things. Next slide. So at section C, these are some principle wise, like in principle wise qualitative. So these are some question. Next slide. Next. So this is the past BRSR framework. We will discuss in upcoming session because time is also short. So these are the some question. How much question is qualitative? How much question is quantitative? So BRSR new development at July the BRSR core notification is coming, and at per new BRSR the reasonable assurance is coming. At past company are doing the limited assurance, but right now for the top 1000 company the reasonable assurance is coming. So reasonable assurance will cover the major aspect. Same from the value chain point of view at financial year 2024 to 25. The listed company will provide the information about your value chain partner. The assurance will be coming. So same this thing is how your company supplier is doing and how your company performance. So all these things will be covered for the BRSR code. So maybe in next 1 and 2 year the supply chain data will be coming at the BRSR report, because without the supplier engagement you cannot achieve the net zero. So BRSR is forming new guideline for the BRSR core. So the value chain part is also coming. Right now CIA is also sent some notification to SEBI how many things will be accounting in value chain. Like right now the question is not clear from the value chain point of view how many question will ask, like you want to take the GHG data, you will take to water data and other things. So this is under discussion. Maybe in upcoming 1 and 2 months, the clarity will be coming from the SEBI side. And from the BRSR core, these are some attributes which like you should provide the information of your GHG accounting, your water footprint, your energy footprint, your waste management data, employee well-being, gender diversity, and enabling inclusive development, fairness, and open. So these are some mandatory data we should provide on the BRSR code separately. Next slide. Sakib, next slide.
Yeah, change the slide. Is it visible?
The BRSR new development is coming. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Back. Yeah. Limited assurance, limited and reasonable. Okay. No issue. So these are the some mandatory, yeah, like. So many people have confusion what is the limited and reasonable assurance. So if you see the mostly company assurance at par, they are the limited assurance. So at limited, they are taking the 30 to 40% data and they are providing the assurance. But right now the assurance is changing. It's reasonable. So at reasonable point of view, the more data accountability will be checked, and how you maintain your data, your integration, what are your frame, what are your reporting framework, how do you track your data. So all the authenticity will be checked at the reasonable assurance. At limited, so these are the major difference between the limited and reasonable. Next slide. So like many people have mentioned for the reasonable assurance, how can we prepare yourself. So at reasonable assurance, increase in sample size. Maybe at past the auditor will be check only 30 to 40% data, but at reasonable assurance the sample size will be bigger. Leverage the work done by financial team, like your financial data is also checked, how you maintain the data, your intern review period, your testing system, how can you control on the data. Like at past, I'm taking example of like your water footprint. So at limited assurance we are providing like company data to the auditor, they will check the data and they will provide the assurance. But from the reasonable point of view, they will check how can you track if this data is valid or not. So your system integration, your data authentication, all these system will be checked in reasonable assurance. So these are the some slide. It's maybe understand for us key what are the difference between reasonable and limited, and how can the assurance will be changing. Next slide. At BRSR core, some data point is mandatory for the assurance point of view. So, like first question, enhancing employee well-being and safety. So, these are the parameter which checked as reasonable assurance. Same and gender diversity. These are the some parameter like wages will be checked by the auditor. Same including development point of view. How many supplier is coming from the MSME and small producer. So, this data will be verified by the auditor. Same from the openness of businesses. So these are the some parameter, and how can the auditor will be checked. These are the some measurement. So these are the some mandatory data point which will be reasonable assurance is mandatory for the BRSR. Next slide. And from the GHG point of view, like scope 1 and scope 2 data will be checked. Water footprint, your water consumption intensity, your water discharge, your energy data. Same at waste point of view, your plastic waste and other waste will be. So these are the some data point which will be limited reasonable assurance mandatory from the BRSR point of view. Next slide. So thank you for your time, and I tried my best to give you some insight in the BRSR and ESG. So if you have any doubt, any suggestion, you can open your mouth and discuss with me. And if anyone want to say something, so I am trying my best. I'm not saying I am a very expert at the, so as per my knowledge and my experience, I try my best to provide my knowledge to other person. Maybe other person will be know more than me. So maybe you can try in upcoming week, that Saturday or Sunday. You can try to provide some insight from the other point of view. Like we can take some session from the water point of view. We can take some session from the other point of view. So in first session, I'm trying to best in a 1 hour time. I make some slide and try to best provide the information from the BRSR and other things. You can ask some question if any doubt, if you want to share something, and how can we make this community in a bigger way. So you can open a mic and share your insight with us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Nitinji, this is Arun. Actually, so I am also doing some certification course on ESG, but I think it is helping a lot this session because we don't know about anything about BRSR and framework. So what you told is very easy for us to go through the BRSR framework now. So it is helping a lot for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun.
And I have one question. So,
Yes.
how to start this ESG? You see, if at all any organization is there, how to start reporting ESG? To whom we need to report? To whom we need to consult? So how to make it
Okay. So
like
Arun,
pollution control? We have
correct. So Arun, if your company is listed, then it's mandatory. But if your company is not listed, you can start your own sustainability reporting. Like you can start your taking data from the environmental point of view. Like you can track the data of your water consumption, like how much water you are using, how much water you are recycling. You are take the all the water data of your all side. You can maintain the data from the waste side. You can maintain the data from the energy side, like how many energy is coming from the renewable point of view. So first you start to track the data. Same from the social point of view, you can maintain the data and other things. And you can take the example of sub company sustainability reporting, how they are performing the data. So if first you should maintain the data inventory, and you can take some example, how can you improve your social aspect of your company, how can you improve your environmental point of view, your governance point of view, maybe some advocacy and committee is not for perform at your company. So from the top point of view, you should make some committee, like from the ESG committee you can make some CSR committee, some internal audit committee. So firstly, you understand the framework requirement, like in BRSN, how many questions are asking by the regulator. You can take an example from the other framework also. As per framework requirement, you first start maintaining the data and you start implementation. How can you improve the question? Maybe at first year you provided all the information, but your score will be low. Your score will be improved when you improving the sustainability performance. I will provide you some detail, like from the environmental point of view. These are the data points you should start working on. Point of view, I will share with you.
Okay, thank you. So I have seen lot of sustainability report in that they will mention about the GRI 100 to I think GRI 400.
Correct. So
So
actually,
when I
GRI
see that data,
is a framework. So
yeah, okay,
so GRI is a framework which provides like GRI with the indicator like GRI 301, 3, GRI 302, 401, 450. So you should download the GRI template at GRI framework. They should clearly provide like how much information is required in GRI 401. So when you're preparing any integrated report, any sustainability report, if you are saying ki your sustainability report is aligned or accordance with the GRI indicator, these are the information which should available at your company reporting. So you see ki mainly company publish a GRI template at the end of their sustainability report. So you should download the GRI indicator list, and as per GRI indicator list, you should maintain the data. Like what is we asking in GRI 401, GRI 402. So as per requirement, you should maintain the data and improve your things. I will
can
share
you
you
please
link.
share that?
You can see the GRI indicator list.
And SEBI is controlling this.
No, SEBI is not controlling. So at India point of view, only BRSR is handled by the SEBI. The GRI, DGSI, these are the global framework. So at India
Okay,
regulatory point of view, only the BRSR is mandatory. So BRSR is also preparing with the help of GRI. So at GRI and other frameworks. So when we are preparing the BRSR, we are take the input from the different framework. Like some data point we are taken from the GRI indicator. So we are trying to match all the requirement as per GRI, but GRI is a global framework and BRSR is only from the Indian point of view.
okay, got it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anyone want to add something?
अच्छा, I think this scope 1 scope 2 scope 3 में थोड़ा confusion है actually. Scope 1 scope 2 में scope
स्कोप
3
वन
तो
क्लियर
पता
है,
चल
जो आपके डायरेक्ट कंट्रोल में है। लाइक जो आपके डायरेक्ट
okay,
कंट्रोल में है, जैसे कंपनी के मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में आप डीजी यूज कर रहे हो, आप बॉयलर यूज कर रहे हो, आप कंपनी के ओन व्हीकल है जिसका आप पे डायरेक्ट कंट्रोल है, मतलब जिसमें आप कुछ चेंजेस कर सकते हो, वो स्कोप 1 के अंदर आता है।
only fuel, right?
हाँ, ओनली फ्यूल, क्योंकि इसमें
कितना?
इमिशन की बात कर रहे हैं ना हम, जीएचजी इमिशन की।
Okay, okay.
तो उससे कितना है मोर, जैसे आपने मान लो आप डीजी में कुछ पेट्रोल यूज कर रहे हो या कंपनी ऑन व्हीकल है उसमें कुछ फ्यूल यूज कर रहे हो, आपके एसी में जो रेफ्रिजरेंट बढ़ा जा रहा है, आपको CO2 सिलेंडर में जो रेफ्रिजरेंट बढ़ा जा रहा है, उन सबसे कितना इमिशन हो रहा है, वो सारा हम स्कोप 1 में निकालते हैं। स्कोप 2
And
में जो
what about
ग्रिड से
electricity?
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी खरीद रहे हैं।
Okay. Electricity, because two types of electricity will be there. One is with direct electricity and indirect electricity. Like direct electricity, we are using the Bescom or any other, and another one is we are using the solar
सोलर
electricity.
सोलर सोलर में इसमें नहीं आता, जो आप ग्रिड से खरीद रहे हो वो उसकी
Grid से,
अकाउंटिंग आपकी स्कोप 2 में आएगी। जो सोलर लगा हुआ है उसकी अकाउंटिंग स्कोप 2 में नहीं आएगी, वो आपका मिटिगेशन में आ जाता है।
okay,
ग्रिड से जो
right,
खरीद रहे हो
got it,
उसकी अकाउंटेबिलिटी। हाँ, और स्कोप 3
right.
क्लियर है, वो आपके एंटायर वैल्यू चेन की बात करता है। उसमें 15 पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है कि कैटेगरी 1 में क्या है, कैटेगरी 2 में क्या है, कैटेगरी 3 में क्या है, उन सबसे रिलेटेड है।
नहीं, मैं समझा नहीं, कैटेगरी 1 कैटेगरी 2 क्या है?
स्कोप 3 में क्या है, आप स्कोप 3 के मैं आपको भेजूंगा। स्कोप 3 में दो टाइप के पैरामीटर होते हैं। एक होता है अपस्ट्रीम, मतलब मैन्युफैक्चरिंग होने से पहले जो प्रोसेस है, लाइक सप्लायर से लेके आपके यहाँ माल आया, वो
हाँ,
प्रोसेस में कितना इमिशन हुआ। आपकी फैक्ट्री
okay,
से बनने के बाद कंज्यूमर तक गया, उस प्रोसेस में कितना इमिशन हुआ, ये सारा इमिशन हम ट्रैक करते हैं स्कोप 3 में। इसके
okay.
अंदर क्या क्या चीजें आएंगी, तो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन आएगी, मटेरियल आ रहा है, उस सप्लाई चेन से कितना इमिशन हुआ, आपने जो मटेरियल खरीदा, लाइक आपने कॉपर खरीदा, वायर खरीदा, प्लास्टिक खरीदा, तो उन सबको खरीदने से कितना इमिशन हुआ। आपकी कंपनी में जो कैपिटल गुड्स हैं उससे कितना इमिशन आ रहा है, आपके जो एम्प्लॉई हैं जो बिजनेस ट्रेवल कर रहे हैं उससे कितना आ रहा है, उसके अलावा आपके प्रोसेस में जो वेस्ट निकल रहा है उससे कितना इमिशन हो रहा है, आपके जो प्रोडक्ट है वो कंज्यूमर यूज करेगा तो उससे कितना इमिशन होगा, वो लैंडफिल में जाएगा या उसकी एंड ऑफ लाइफ डिस्पोजल होगा, उससे कितना होगा। तो एंटायर थिंग्स वी आर टेकिंग इन स्कोप 3।
अच्छा, इन सब का कैलकुलेशन मिल सकता है क्या हमको? कैसे कैलकुलेट
ये
करें?
इनका क्या है कि मोस्टली अभी तक क्या है कि स्पेंड बेस्ड मेथड पे इनकी कैलकुलेशन होती थी। जीएचजी प्रोटोकॉल की वेबसाइट पे आप जाना, वहां पे आपको टूल पूरा मिल जाएगा स्कोप 3 अकाउंटिंग के लिए।
GNG।
हाँ, नहीं तो हम लोग ट्राई करेंगे 2-3 वीक बाद, मैं इस पे एक सेशन कर लूंगा, मैं सिखा दूंगा, कोई इसमें नहीं है इशू इसमें।
क्योंकि स्कोप 1, स्कोप 2, स्कोप 3 तीनों का हम लोग किया था। एक्चुअली हम लोग क्या करते हैं, डेटा इनपुट देते हैं, ग्लोबल में वो लोग ले लेते हैं, लेकिन हमको बैक एंड में क्या होता है, कैसे कैलकुलेशन होता है, वो सब पता ही नहीं चलेगा हमको।
आजकल क्या है कि एक्चुअली सस्टेनेबिलिटी में इतना कंफ्यूजन हो गया है ना, कि इंडिया में क्या है कि हर चीज को मनी माइंडेड बना दिया गया है। कि
हम्म।
लोग क्या है कि लोग सोचते हैं कि नॉलेज शेयर कर लेंगे तो यानी क्या हो जाएगा। मेरा पॉइंट ऑफ
हम्म।
व्यू दूसरा है, अगर हम किसी को कुछ सिखाएंगे तो हम कम्युनिटी के लिए अच्छा है। तो लोग
एग्जैक्टली।
स्कोप 1-2 अकाउंटिंग के ही 10-10 20-20 लाख रुपए ले रहे हैं, जबकि है क्या, कुछ नहीं है। तो क्या है कि
यस।
आजकल जो स्किल है ना, वो कंसेप्ट वाइज है, सब कुछ अवेलेबल है, आप चीजों को पढ़ना सीखो। अगर आप
यस।
गूगल पे 4-6 चीजें पढ़ोगे ना, आपको खुद कुछ मिल जाएगा, बड़ी इजीली मिल जाएगा। तो
यस,
सब
राइट राइट।
कोई भी चीज का इमिशन फैक्टर वो निकालते हैं कि जैसे उसकी कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू कितनी है, उस
हम्म।
कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू के हिसाब से फिर उसमें कार्बन कंटेंट देखो, आपका
हम्म।
CO2 इमिशन कितना है। अब जीएचजी क्या है कि वो सिर्फ CO2 की बात नहीं करता, आपका CO2 कितना है, CH4 कितना है, HFC गैसेस कितना है, उन सबके कोफिशिएंट फैक्टर लगा के वो इजीली बना सकते हैं। तो
हम्म।
जैसे पेट्रोल की बात ले लो, पेट्रोल की कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू कितनी है, उसका जीएचजी कोफिशिएंट कितना है, उसमें CO2 इमिशन कितना है, उसको मल्टीप्लाई करके वो निकाल सकते हैं। तो जो भी कोफिशिएंट फैक्टर बनाए गए हैं वो इसी बेसिस पे बनाए गए हैं।
हम्म।
इस बेसिस पे
आजकल
हम स्कोप 1-2-3 की अकाउंटिंग करते हैं।
आजकल आजकल एयरफेयर टिकट में भी लिख रहे हैं वो लोग कितना एमिशन
हाँ,
हो
अब
रहा है।
वो इसलिए लिख रहे हैं ना, आजकल आप देखोगे तो फ्लाइट्स में लिखने लगे कि एयर एशिया की फ्लाइट लोग, उसमें CO2 इमिशन कम है, क्योंकि विदाउट
हम्म।
स्कोप 3 यू कैन नॉट इमेजिन फॉर द नेट जीरो असाइनमेंट। तो दैट्स
हम्म।
व्हाई स्कोप 3 बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और 90% जो इमिशन है कमिंग फ्रॉम द स्कोप 3।
ओके।
स्कोप 1 और 2 तो ये 10-12% ही है कंट्रीब्यूशन। तो अगर आपको
हम्म।
नेट जीरो पे काम करना है तो स्कोप 3 पे ही काम करना पड़ेगा, स्कोप 1-2 से कुछ नहीं होने वाला। तो इसलिए
सो इससे
बहुत
कार्बन
जरूरी है कि आप एंटायर उस पे काम करो।
नेट जीरो मतलब कार्बन न्यूट्रल वही है ना?
नेट जीरो आपका एंटायर कार्बन, कार्बन सिर्फ स्पेसिफाई हो जाता है CO2 तक, लेकिन
ओके।
जीएचजी के अंदर CO2 के अलावा जो अदर गैसेस भी हैं जिनका इमिशन प्रोटोकॉल है, वो सारी एंटायर चीज आ जाती है उसमें। तो CO2
हम्म।
छोटा एस्पेक्ट है, और जीएचजी आपका बड़ा एस्पेक्ट है। उसके अंदर CO2, CH4, नॉक्स, सारी चीजें आ जाती हैं उसके अंदर।
अच्छा, ये सब गैस सिलेंडर कहाँ पे आता है, ये नाइट्रोजन हीलियम वो सब गैस सिलेंडर का एमिशन?
ये सब के कोफिशिएंट हैं, उन सब से निकालते हैं इनको। आपको HFC कंटेंट मिल जाएगा, और ये सब चीजें तो हर
करेक्ट।
हर जैसे CO2 कोफिशिएंट, ऐसे CH4 कोफिशिएंट भी है, ऐसे उसका नॉक्स कोफिशिएंट भी है, तो उस बेसिस पे कैलकुलेट करते हैं।
ओके। ओके। थैंक यू सो मच नितिन जी। इट्स
ओके
वेरी
जी।
ग्रेट इंटरेक्टिव
यस,
सेशन एक्चुअली।
यस केके जी।
Yeah, sir. Sir, like you are talking about scope 1, 2, 3 and all these things. So ये SBTI से भी इसको कुछ relate हम कर पाएंगे? Like ये सारे
नहीं,
के सारे
हाँ,
सब अपने science based उससे related हैं.
करेक्ट है। तो एक्चुअली क्या है कि एसबीटीआई क्या है कि एसबीटीआई साइंस बेस्ड टारगेट है। आपने देखा
हाँ
होगा
जी।
कि पहले बहुत सारे लोगों ने बोल दिया था कि भाई हम नेट जीरो हो जाएंगे 2040 तक, 2050 तक।
हाँ हाँ
एसबीटीआई क्या है कि आप एसबीटीआई को टारगेट सबमिट करते हो, एसबीटीआई चेक करता है कि आप कर पाओगे कि नहीं कर पाओगे, आपकी
ठीक है।
परफॉर्मेंस को चेक करता है, और ये टारगेट वैलिडेट होके आपके पास आते हैं। जब वैलिडेट हो जाते हैं तभी आप लिख सकते हो कि यू विल बी नेट जीरो बाई 2040 और 2050। एसबीटीआई क्या है कि ये अप्रूवल प्रोसेस है, एक अथॉरिटी है जो जिसमें आप अपना डाटा देते हो, अपनी परफॉर्मेंस देते हो, आप क्या करने वाले हो, कैसे कम करोगे, पूरा आप रोड मैप बना के जब एसबीटीआई को देते हो, एसबीटीआई उसको एनालाइज करता है, फिर आपको रिप्लाई करता है, आपके टारगेट अप्रूव करता है, और आपको ट्रैक करता है कि आप साल ईयर टू ईयर कुछ काम कर रहे हो कि नहीं कर रहे हो। ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ आपने अपनी रिपोर्ट में लिख दिया कि 2040 में हम नेट जीरो हो जाएंगे। इसीलिए ये एसबीटीआई टारगेट अप्रूवल कंटेंट आया सीटीपी के थ्रू, कि उसको प्रॉपर टेक्निकल चेक किया जाता है कि आप कर पाओगे नहीं कर पाओगे। तो ये पूरा अप्रूवल प्रोसेस है, और विदाउट अप्रूवल के आप लिख नहीं सकते कि आप नेट जीरो बाई 2040 और 2050।
अभी तो सर फिर ये लिस्टेड के लिए भी वॉलेंट्री है या फिर इट्स
नहीं,
मैंडेटरी?
अभी वॉलेंट्री है, अभी मैंडेटरी नहीं है नेट जीरो। अभी सारा वॉलेंट्री बेसिस पे है, कंपनी अपनी इंप्रूव करना चाहती है तो लिख रही है। अब ये क्या है, इन्वेस्टर से पुश आ रहा है। ये कस्टमर से पूछ आ रहा है। अब जैसे मैं एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ कैपकुनाई का। कैपकुनाई ने क्या किया है कि अपने जितने सप्लायर हैं उनके साथ एक एग्रीमेंट किया, अगर आपको कैपकुनाई के साथ काम करना है तो आपको नेट जीरो एग्रीमेंट करना ही पड़ेगा, नहीं तो वो वेंडर कोड खुलेंगे ही नहीं।
ओके
ऐसे ही इन्वेस्टरों ने फिक्स कर दिया है कि भाई आपको नेट जीरो अगर आप कमिटमेंट नहीं दोगे वो काम ही नहीं करेंगे। तो
ओके
इसलिए ये अभी मैंडेटरी नहीं है, लेकिन जो भी अच्छी कंपनी है जो रियल में काम करना चाहती है तो वो उसके लिए है।
तो ये BRSR के अंदर ही इंक्लूजन अभी है इसका?
अब BRSR अभी एक्चुअली सिर्फ 1-2 तक सीमित है, अभी 3 पे स्कोप 3 की अकाउंटिंग आई नहीं है अभी BRSR में। तो अभी जो एश्योरेंस भी है ना वो सिर्फ स्कोप 1-2 तक है। अब इंडिया भी
Scope
धीमे धीमे इम्प्रूव कर रहा है, सडनली स्कोप 3 आ जाएगा तो इंडिया में भी क्या BRSR लोग भरना स्टार्ट किए हैं, सडनली स्कोप
हाँ
3 आ जाएगा तो कर नहीं पाएंगे। तो इसलिए स्टेप बाय स्टेप BRSR में काम हो रहा है।
एक सर कोर BRSR पे और BRSR पे एक थोड़ा आपका चाहिए होगा, मतलब कोर BRSR और
BRSR कोर में क्या है कि बहुत ज्यादा मेजर डिफरेंस नहीं है। BRSR कोर में क्या किया है कि एक तो पहले जो BRSR थी उसमें 7 से 8 न्यू डाटा पॉइंट ऐड कर दिए हैं। और जो मैंने पीछे स्लाइड दिखाई उसमें कुछ इंडिकेटर हैं जिनका एश्योरेंस मैंडेटरी कर दिया है। लाइक आपको अपना GHG का डाटा देना कंपलसरी हो गया है, आपको कितने MSME से सप्लायर आ रहे हैं उनका डाटा देना कंपलसरी कर दिया, उनका एश्योरेंस कराना कंपलसरी है, आपको एनर्जी इंटेंसिटी का एश्योरेंस कराना कंपलसरी है, आप एम्प्लॉय वेलबींग के लिए क्या कर रहे हो। तो जो मैंने पिछली स्लाइड में दिखाया था वो सारे डेटा पॉइंट मैंडेटरी कर दिए एश्योरेंस के लिए, ये डिफरेंस है।
बस ये इतना सा। ओके
पहले कुछ
सर।
मैंडेटरी नहीं था, पहले वॉलंटरी था कि आप कितने भी इंडिकेटर कराओ। अब क्या करा BRSR कोर में, वो पॉइंट 12-13 पॉइंट मैंडेटरी कर दिए कि भाई उनका एश्योरेंस कराना ही है 1000 कंपनी को। तो ये डिफरेंस है।